Have you ever had one of those moments where your life changes in an instant, in a single second? The kind of event where you think, this can't be happening to me? Or have you ever had a story that starts with, you won't believe this, but it happened to me, and it happened in such a way that my life was never the same again. But believe me, this story isn't about me. It's the story of a completely different creature, a completely different world. But the real story is far different from what you've heard, from what you know. It's the kind of event that will make you question everything you know about humanity, compassion, and even nature itself. You definitely don't want to miss this. In a remote village in Kenya, a typical April morning, the sun had begun to warm the earth, and people were going about their daily routines. But that day, something happened that no one expected. There was unusual activity near the riverbank just outside the village. First whispers, then astonished looks. The villagers were faced with something they had never seen before. Lying near the riverbank, exhausted and helpless, was a massive lion. Yes, you heard that right. A lion. That majestic creature, normally the ruler of the savannas and vast grasslands, was now lying near the small village, almost as if begging for help. But how? What could a lion possibly be doing near this village? As most of you know, lions usually live in open areas, in savannas. This village was hundreds of miles away from the lion's natural habitat. That's when a single question arose in everyone's mind. How did this lion get here? We later learned that this young lion had most likely either been swept away by strong river currents or had wandered too far from his pride while searching for food. Perhaps with the courage of youth, he had embarked on a journey into the unknown. But this journey had turned into a struggle for survival. During this arduous journey, which lasted for days, perhaps even weeks, the lion had struggled with hunger, thirst, and dangers in unfamiliar lands. There were no familiar scents, no familiar sounds anymore. Everywhere was foreign. Everything was a threat. By the time he reached the outskirts of this small village, the lion was exhausted. His body was tired, his spirit wounded. All he could think about was survival. While wearily surveying the area near the riverbank, he heard sounds coming from the village. Human sounds. Normally, lions avoid humans, but this lion was desperate. Hunger was forcing him to make a dangerous decision. He saw a large building near the village. Instinctively, he headed towards that building. He didn't know that the building was the village's ranger station. Exhausted from fatigue, he collapsed at the entrance of the station. His eyes looked around, almost as if asking for help, as if whispering, "Help me." At that moment, one of the rangers on duty at the station noticed this unexpected visitor. He immediately alerted the others. 2 more rangers came out to assess the situation. They were all stunned by the sight before them. A massive, young male lion was lying in front of their station. His fur was golden, his claws sharp, but his gaze, in that gaze, there was more helplessness and exhaustion than power and majesty. The rangers approached the lion with cautious steps. They were careful not to startle or frighten him. As they got closer, they better understood the lion's condition. One of his front paws was seriously injured. He couldn't move, he was in pain. That's when something changed in the rangers' hearts. Fear gave way to compassion. This lion needed help. They couldn't leave him there in that state. They immediately took action. First, they contacted the local wildlife conservation authorities. The authorities were also astonished by this unusual situation. But without wasting any time, they began preparations to help. The rangers did their best to treat the lion's wound. They gave him food and water. Although the lion hesitated at first, he eventually understood the rangers' good intentions. He began to trust them. Meanwhile, the lion's story spread rapidly throughout the village. The villagers named him Leo. Every day, they brought food for Leo and cared for him. Although Leo ate little, he felt the compassion shown to him by the people. But his eyes often drifted to the distance, to the horizon, as if longing for something, for somewhere. That Leo's story was heard not only in the village, but also in neighboring villages, even throughout the country. People flocked to the village to see this extraordinary event and to help Leo. The rangers took precautions for Leo's safety. They didn't allow anyone to approach him. Experts assessed Leo's condition. The result was not encouraging. Leo could not survive in this unfamiliar land. He needed to return to his natural habitat immediately. But how? The place where Leo came from was hundreds of miles away. He could never make that journey on his own. Even if he returned, it was impossible for him to survive that journey. The situation seemed hopeless, but the people were not willing to give up. They had to find a way to save Leo. Leo's story resonated so much that the authorities finally took action. The regional governor requested a helicopter from the Minister of Emergency Situations to transport Leo. The rangers prepared a special transport cage for Leo. The Kenya Wildlife Service took on the operation. 8 days after Leo's arrival, an air operation was launched to return him home. Nothing like this had ever been done before. Transporting a lion by helicopter carried great risks, but the rescuers were willing to risk everything to save Leo. To transport Leo safely, they first sedated him. Experts confirmed that Leo was well-fed and his condition was stable. Then Leo was placed in a special cage and loaded onto the helicopter. The villagers gathered to witness this historic moment. They cheered and prayed as Leo was loaded onto the helicopter. But no one could have predicted what would happen during that long flight. Sometime after the helicopter took off, a strange sound came from the cage. Leo had woken up. Suddenly, everyone in the helicopter became tense. Everyone was on alert. They were afraid that Leo might make a sudden movement, try to escape from the cage, or shake the helicopter. Such a thing could be a disaster for everyone. But Leo, surprisingly, remained calm, although he was awake. He did not make any aggressive movements or try to escape. He just looked around with curious eyes. Officials later stated that although Leo was frightened during the flight, he maintained his composure. This was a testament to Leo's resilience and the careful planning of the rescuers. After a long, intense flight, the helicopter reached the area where Leo was to be released. The crew landed the helicopter and opened the cage door with great anticipation. Leo hesitated at first. He looked around, bewildered. Then, suddenly, as if remembering something, he quickly exited the cage and began to run towards the savanna. That moment was unforgettable for everyone. The villagers, the rangers, the officials, they had all done their best to give Leo a second chance. Months passed. Life in the village returned to normal. But one day, everything changed again. A severe drought had begun in the region. People, animals, were perishing from thirst and hunger. One evening, a herd of elephants, crazed with thirst, began to advance towards a village. The elephants were trampling everything, destroying houses and threatening the people. There was great panic in the village. Everyone was running to save their lives. But just then, something unexpected happened. A figure emerged from shadows. It was Leo. He was now a grown, powerful lion. He fearlessly ran toward the elephants. He roared so loudly that the earth shook. The elephants were stunned by this unexpected attack. Leo, with strategic movements, managed to drive the elephants away from the village. He directed them towards a nearby waterhole. The villagers watched Leo in amazement and admiration. The helpless lion they had once helped had now saved their lives. After ensuring the safety of people, Leo stayed near the outskirts of the village for a while longer, as if he had not forgotten the kindness shown to him. Then one day he quietly disappeared, but he left behind an unforgettable legacy. Leo's story showed us how strong the bond between humanity and nature can be. That compassion and kindness can transcend boundaries and species. Tio further strengthened this story. We can add some facts and data. Lion habitats. Lions generally live in savannas and open grasslands of Africa. However, due to climate change, habitat loss, and other reasons, their habitats are shrinking. Human-wildlife conflict. The increase in human population and the shrinking of wild animal habitats are increasing conflicts between humans and wild animals. These conflicts can have serious consequences for both humans and wild animals. Conservation efforts. Various efforts are underway worldwide to protect lions and other wild animals. These efforts aim to protect the habitats of wild animals, prevent poaching, and reduce human-wildlife conflicts. Lion population in Kenya. Kenya is the home to a relevant lion population. Still, this population is under different risks. That's it. Leo's story started as an ordinary rescue operation, but turned into much more. This story showed us that even in the most desperate moments, there can be a glimmer of hope, that compassion and solidarity can transcend boundaries. After reading this story, I'm sure you, like me, felt a desire to do something, to make the world a better place. So it's time to take action. If you like this story, please share and comment. What do you think about this story? Don't you think this story is one of the best examples of compassion, solidarity, and the bond between humans and nature? Share your thoughts and feelings. And let's talk about what we can do together for a better world.